Hey everyone, today I'm looking at Grand Theft Auto 4. So this is kind of an interesting game because, before this we had, Vice City and San Andreas and, 3, and all of those were kind of like the big GTA games. So for them to slap a 4 on this one, it was kind of like a big deal. Like, this is the next evolution of the entire series. And sure enough, this now has a very functional physics engine. People now kind of stumble and fall about. They revamped, the entire aspect of how, the main character moves and in the environment, how mobile he is, and it got a little bit more, realistic, I would say. I think it's really funny that they decided to go for this Eastern European guy in New York who is like always wearing tracksuits and Adidas, and you know, again, the main characters is supposed to be I don't know, an avenue for the player to fill the shoes of without being a blank slate. And Nico serves both of those purposes, where you just find yourself being strung along between different mafia bosses, doing different goon thug things, until eventually you get to this point where you have to choose like who you're gonna side with, who you're gonna betray, and you become too powerful. And of course, this game has always been the heart of controversy because it's always, people and specifically mothers say, "Oh, the games are turning kids violent." This was like the poster child, along with the other GTA games, that these games were the ones that cause violence and dysfunction in society, and nothing else entirely. The driving is also very different in these games. It's, again, like I said, it has a lot more physics. I think my favorite thing to do is to drive at full speed and crash into something, and Nico would actually go out the front windshield. That would always be a lot of fun. The story itself is okay. It's not bad. It's like Nico, again, just gets strung along through all these deals until eventually he has to just kill the bigger, badder bad guy. There's one point where you have to choose, to kill certain people or, betray someone you've been working for. But it's really the side characters who run the story. His cousin Roman is one who always wants to go bowling, and so your contacts now in GTA will ask you to do certain activities with them, and you actually maintain and build relationships that way, which I find is very interesting. Again, I remember the way this game was advertised. It was like this, they had the the Koinkwatsi kind of theme, by Philip Glass, and it was this big kind of simulation of New York City or Liberty City Island, and so it's going to be this huge, massive, revolution in gaming, where it's going to be the most realistic, intense, interesting game you've ever seen. And yeah, I remember all that hype, and it definitely was, part of that kind of experience. But the thing that I think the game failed at doing is telling a compelling story. Again, I don't know, because this is in Liberty City, and similar to GTA 3, it was just very depressing in tone. I find that GTA 4 is just a very kind of I don't know, the tone of the whole game is kind of just kind of dark and kind of like whatever. um I just don't find it to be super interesting, like, and compared to San Andreas, where everything is crazy and insane and kind of optimistic. This one's always just kind of dark and whatever. It's like, oh yeah, like I had to kill him, and it's like whatever. I would say though that one of my favorite characters in this game though is probably Brucey, just because he's now the ultra giga Chad, or the negative Chad, who's always like, I'm pushing to the limit, leave a message, I'm juicing it up, I'm killing it out there. And you have to, like, he's this absolute insufferable jock idiot who is so over the top, it's funny. I should also mention, I also really love the parodies that GTA 4 did with the TV in this game. You have what was it called, like Super Hello Kitty Friends anime. Like, they did an anime parody show that was like, doing Dragon Ball Z and all this other stuff, and the general like parodies in general, which was really funny. And then there was what was the other one? Oh, the Macho Space Marines, where everything is super phallic and super machismo and not insecure at all. And so you had these two extremes, which were really, really funny. But my favorite, probably, comedy memory of this game is probably the local public, or like the public radio station, where they had this guy talking about, like, it wasn't Brucey, but it was like a Brucey-like character, this ultra masculine guy saying, I love waking up with someone else's blood covering my hands in the morning. It's the best feeling ever because I'm a beast, bro. I'm such a beast, and I love taking your head and punching it into the lamppost. And you have Laszlo. Yeah, you have poor Laszlo interviewing these people. The funniest thing. Of course, what's really interesting and different about this game is, of course, you use your phone as the main menu, which I found really cool. So you do everything from, setting up your next mission to the GPS thing to activating cheats, and all that other stuff is done through this little pop-up phone, which is a pretty new and interesting idea and concept. But yeah, what I don't like about this game is the fact that you don't have a lot of crazy weapons. You don't have jetpacks or chain guns or flamethrowers or any of that stuff. I mean, you have a Molotov cocktail, but a lot of the stuff has kind of been stripped down from the game. I do think it's funny, though, that it's iconic of this game that the main way you refill health and other items is by basically using your hot dog stand. And so the hot dog stands have become kind of the symbol of the health regeneration in this game, which I find super funny. Another cool thing I do like about this game is you now have a lot more, inhabitable buildings. So you can go inside a building and there's like a bajillion police chasing you. You can like also go into cover, and you can use a shotgun and take them out at the front door, which is really cool, and deal with things that way. So you can go in cover. You can also get drunk in this game. So if you have enough beer, you'll camera will go all crazy and wobble around, and that's pretty cool. Another cool thing is you can now take taxis in this game. One thing I mentioned before that I really hate is that when you ever want to select items or clothes to wear, for some reason it takes like half a second to load each one, which is absolutely infuriating. Fortunately, there aren't a lot of clothing options in this game, which honestly is good, because if your load times are that bad, you seriously should not be having a huge selection. Of course, I also love the Rastafarian in this game. I still have no idea what he's saying. I don't think I was playing with subtitles on, so I literally had no idea what he said almost the entire time. But I love his character, and for that, and his attitude towards things. The radio stations in this game are also still pretty good, but I don't know, it's a different vibe, of course, than GTA 3, obviously. I remember this was the game that everyone went crazy for. People would, do, mods and cheats and, do video reviews of it, and it was the biggest game. I remember in GameStop, they had a huge sign with a big red countdown timer to when GTA released. It was the biggest game phenomena of that time. Everyone was stupidly hyped for this game, and because I thought it was going to be the next big thing, and it kind of was, but I think it was kind of like a step down from the previous GTA games. Even though it's more realistic and you have all this new kind of physics engine, a lot of the really fun dynamic mini games are missing. The weapons, the attitude, the characters. This is when they started becoming a lot more realistic and not so much focused on making caricatures of American cinema and entertainment, and the American landscape culturally. Some fun memories from this game. One thing that was definitely people remember were the job interview level, where you would go for a job interview, you stand up and you have to shoot the guy who's interviewing you. That's a ridiculous, funny thing. You have to get a suit and tie for that mission as well. You have a bunch of Hasidic Jews in the downtown area, where if you kill them, they drop a ton of money. You have a lot of really crazy stuff in this game. That again, it's supposed to be a parody of the American lifestyle. I also like how, the beginning missions of the GTA games, they basically slowly teach you all of the main mechanics that you would use in throughout the game itself. So I think it's nice how, again, in terms of tutorials, I think Nintendo really does the best kind of tutorials, and other games like that, where the best tutorials are the ones that are invisible. The ones that they kind of show up and they go, piece by piece and, a little bit by a little bit until finally you are comfortable with, where you are. The other big change, of course, is now people now have health bars as a circle around them on the reticle, which is interesting. And another big thing is that instead of doing a bunch of spin-off games, for this game, like, you had Vice City and San Andreas, which are kind of sub-games, this is the first GTA that really had DLC. So you have things like, the Lost Brothers and Gay Tony. I've actually never played those, and maybe I should at some point. But yeah, GTA 4 overall, I'm not a super huge fan of this one, at least from the GTA's perspective. It's just not quite as fun, and it's just somewhat more depressing than, the other ones and the other games in the series. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the setting of Liberty City, but even messing around isn't quite as fun because, you just don't have as much things at your disposal to work with. And I just feel like you have more, or rather you have less health in this game overall. And it's just harder to stay alive. And I know everything's just kind of gray and kind of overcast and just depressing in general. It's not a super fun place to live in. And yeah, they had this idea of this living, breathing city, but this is just GTA 3 remastered almost, if you could even call it that. But that's almost how it feels, except with more story, obviously. It's funny how the reception and the cultural vision of this game is probably a lot better than the actual game itself. And I would even extend that to GTA 5, which I think I might talk about now because I'm never going to review that game because I really heavily dislike it, and maybe I'll go into why that is. GTA 5 is when you really saw the cutaway to them making games that are not a parody of American culture, but more of a simulation. You see that also with like Red Dead 2, where it's like this is not supposed to be a thing where it's like making fun of, but being serious and having a simulation almost. And that to me was always just a weird feeling and style of game. And so when I played GTA 5, there are some ridiculous funny things. Like I really enjoyed the bike mission where it's like, let's go for a bike ride. Like I felt like that game or that mission was custom made like for me, because that's literally happened to me. My dad's like, let's stop playing video games and go for a bike ride, and everything goes horribly wrong. Like that's a page out of my life. And the fact he's playing like some kind of Doom-like video game, I just think is the craziest thing. In any case, it was just super cool and ridiculous. But at the same time, it's like GTA 5. It has such a negative. I don't know how I'd even say this. It has a super just negative vibe about it, and there's traces of it here in 4, but the vibe is just so overtly negative in 5 that it's really hard to ignore. It feels like everything you do, it just makes the situation worse, rather than, going on this big adventure and experiencing all these crazy things. And for that reason, I basically just can't. I don't know. I can't get into it. I don't know why. I've tried it. I've played it, and it's like, okay, you're gonna do a bank heist, and like, cool. That was neat. And I feel like it's an issue with scope, right? When the scope is just too big and you can do literally anything in real life in the game, then it's like, well, why bother? It's like, well, what's the point then? If you're not going to give me something ridiculous, then, who am I to go against it? It's also funny that, GTA was one of the first games, or at least I can recall, that used outrage marketing for itself. It basically said, oh yeah, this will turn your kid into a killer, or this, like in the 90s, Nintendo used to have advertisements that said, yes, we are turning your kids into addicts, there's nothing you can do. But yeah, I wish GTA 4 was better. I wish it was more interesting, but as it stands, it's just a very okay-ish game, especially compared to its other games. It's fine, but if you play the other ones, you understand why they're better. But yeah, the cultural impact that GTA has is really interesting because it's the one game that I think crosses over between, the normiest of normie dude bros and, classic seasoned gamers. And I feel like that might be diverging soon, where the new GTAs, because they're more of a simulation rather than a game, I think people are kind of confused or not sure how to feel about them, since one of them is for entertainment and one of them is for like a cultural simulation thing. Anyway, as technically impressive as GTA 4 is, it's still kind of very whatever. And even GTA 5 is, I just have no incentive to play it. It feels like it's trying to do everything at once, and it just feels super, I don't know, depressing and more of a simulation. It has no identity. CJ and Grove Street, that had identity. Even GTA 3 with its linear-ish missions had identity. The city had identity. And this game, I just feel like that is just not the case. Anyway, I guess I really don't have much else to say about this, and I don't want to say about this. And the future of GTA games, I honestly am uninterested and unexcited for. Even though I wasn't a super GTA guy, I always would be interested to see how they were pushing, the limits of the software and then the franchise and what crazy new things they were doing. But now it's almost predictable what they're going to do. They're just going to make things more realistic. And if that's the case, then why should I bother, or why would I bother playing them if I know exactly what's going to happen? But yeah, I guess that's it on GTA. And, I guess I'll see you guys later. Bye.